Welcome back, everybody, to Shadowrun Dragonfall. Last time we started Glory's potentially last story. If you missed it, it literally was just saying that she was with Marta at the Forestella and she was happy. But I would definitely recommend going back and watching like the last 6 minutes of the last video if you missed it. At least watch the whole thing. It's probably very long, but anyway. Now Haro, we're gonna learn a bit more about him. I don't know what his age was. He seemed old enough to be paternal, but young enough to hang with the kids on something like a peer level. Best guess, I'd say he was in his mid-20s. He was handsome and well-built, with a neatly trimmed beard and thick brown hair. There's something else about him, something uncanny. He sounds like me, except I'm not well-built. Anyway, Haro had this charisma, this raw magnetic attraction that just made people latch onto him. I saw it over and over. All it took was a few words and a pat on the shoulder and Haro would have a new convert. The other kids at the farm followed him around like lost puppies. As much as I loved Marta and as much as I thought she loved me, we forgot all about one another when Haro was around. All we wanted to do was be close with him. To be part of his inner circle. And soon enough we were. For a girl of 17, it was terribly exciting. Haro had these rules of living that he would teach us, rules about self-determination and the importance of disobedience. He claimed to have taught classes at the University of Berlin, which he painted as a mix between an earthly paradise and an anarchist playground. He told us how Forestella would be the focal point of a new movement for the children of the fatherland. He told us that we were special. We ate it up, of course. We were kids. For those of us in the inner sanctum, Haro would share even more. He had powers, the like of which I had never seen. Not my father's drunken fists or my own childish experiments, but genuine, incredible power. He said that it came from the Horned God, an ancient deity that he venerated. He knew about my latent abilities right away, and he offered to teach me. Naturally, I accepted. I've heard of the Horned God. His followers have a poor reputation, especially among women. Any bad reputation that they may have gained is well-deserved. There was more to that, as you'll see. Hang with me, Kiefer. Rough waters ahead. So I became Haro's apprentice. He taught me to channel magic and summon spirits. He taught me rituals and pagan traditions, Machiavellian philosophy and Nietzschean ethics. I'm proud of myself for that, and for knowing who those two are. But he taught me to connect with his Horned God. And through it, I learned power and arrogance. And it was all downhill from there. The next few years, I lived at Forestella's Haro's enforcer and right-hand girl. I was also his sometimes wife and concubine, but that was a distinction I shared with all of the other girls in the commune, including my beloved Marta. Learned that she'd been his long before she met me, but by that point, I didn't care. I'd embraced the rules of living, and I was Haro's creature through and through. I didn't ask questions, and I walked the path that was in front of me. Other fun facts about those years. I learned cruelty. I had power now, and my new idol encouraged me to use it. Haro did the same. Any children who didn't pull their weight were subjected to my tender mercies, and I was anything but tender. I took what I wanted rather than asking for it. I liked it. It was fun. I also came to learn that Haro's Horned God was not the Eichenfürst, worshipped by throwback cults from Germany. It was certainly a god with horns, but it came from an altogether different tradition. Care to hazard a guess? The devil? In the magically active community, we refer to it as the adversary. But yeah, same being, more or less. So my idol, the ancient deity that was feeding me my power, was the antithesis of everything that is right and good. And do you know what? I didn't care. In our time together, Haro and I committed more atrocities than I could count. At this point, I was onto all of his tricks. I knew the Forestella was nothing more than a honey trap, carefully designed to lure local children into my master's clutches. I knew the kids who seemed resistant to Haro's brainwashing techniques wound up fertilizing the garden. I knew that Haro's entire manifesto was bullshit. And I knew that through it all, Haro and the adversary were laughing. Because I was laughing right there beside them. I didn't want to pin the blame for my decisions on anyone but me. I don't want to. don't pin the blame on my decisions on anyone but me. That said, I would like to posit my father's connection to the Kreuzritters might have helped play into my willingness to serve the adversary. In my warped, indoctrinated little brain, I equated the church with evil, so the opposite of that, I figured, had to be, well, if not good, then at least not totally bad. But I was kidding myself, of course. My new deity was the very definition of bad. Serving it made me bad. End of story. I can't excuse the choices that you made, but I can understand why you made them. It's big of you, Kiefer. I genuinely mean that. Anyway, one day, Hera invited me on a field trip. Stuttgart. Oh shit. I think I know where this is going. Anyway. Over the years that I was at Feuerstelle, the commune had easily doubled in size. It was thriving, all thanks to the efforts of Marta and the girls like her. Hera would send out the girls to neighboring cities to lure in the street kids that nobody would miss. He targeted children because they were easy to indoctrinate, and because nothing makes the adversary happier than the corruption of the innocent. As we drove out to pick up the new recruits, I was already planning ahead. It was a foregone conclusion that I would pay my father a visit. The irony of a group of Kreuzritters getting immolated by a genuine servant of the actual devil tickled me to no end. So when Harrow stopped to fill up on diesel, I hopped out of the van and headed out on foot to my parents' place. Harrow wasn't overly concerned about my absence. I'd long since reached the point where I could assert my autonomy, and he knew I'd be back. I wound up at the folks' house sometime around noon. I could hear the adversary whispering in my ear, telling me what to do. I'd long since learned to listen to the voice. It always rewarded me with extra power when I did its bidding. It told me to knock. So I did. As the door opened, I could feel a torrent of flames welling up in the astral plane all around me. It told me to channel them into the doorway, into my father, so I did. But of course, the person who opened the door wasn't my father. It was my mother. As I watched her flesh blacken and melt, as I heard her scream, and I broke into hysterics, I heard the adversary laugh. And at that moment, I realized that it was laughing at me. I'm so sorry, Glory. Thanks. We're almost at the end now. Thanks for sticking with me. It was like a lever had been pulled. All at once, the bubble popped. I wasn't a powerful servant of the adversary. I was not Harrow's #1 girl. I was a ridiculous little fool who'd willingly tied her soul to the worst thing in existence. Realizing all of this was one thing. Actually fixing it was something else entirely. I knew that I had to get away from Harrow. That was the first thing to do. So I bit my lip and did the best to ignore the happy babble of the new recruits on the trip back to Feuerstelle. I managed to get through the ride without screaming. Once we were back at the commune, I broke into Harrow's safe, stole all the commune's resources, and ran. I don't know when Harrow realized what I'd done, or whether he even cares, but I know that nobody came after me. So I kept running and running until I got to Berlin. Getting past the wall was fairly simple. You know how easy it is to obtain falsified papers. The biggest obstacle that I faced during my flight was the adversary itself. I could run from Harrow, but how do you run from something that's tied to your own soul? Oh, God, Glory. I walked into the office of the first street doc I could find, pointed at the biggest, bulkiest pieces of cyberwear on display, told him to put them into me. He tried to upsell me on better merchandise, arguing that I was asking for was old and inefficient, better to be installed in a museum than a body. He told me that I'd be shredding my essence, and once it was gone, I'd never be able to get it back. I stuck to my guns. After all, shredding my essence was the whole point. That's all for now. You've heard the tale. You know why I am the way I am. You know the things I've done and how much I have to atone for. If you still want my company, fine. If I've lost your friendship, I understand that too. But for now, I need to be alone. Well, shit! Shit. Yeah, well, that was awful. There is something new on here, so watch me. Play track 1. Help me! I think I found her. And all this time. Wait, is this the one I watched? Yes, it is. I need to watch the third DVD. Play track 1. 20420805. I was thinking about Adrian today. Not as... Wait, what was it? I was thinking about Adrian. I don't remember. Not as he was when he disappeared. Not as the fabled Dragon Slayer or the big-time CEO of Dale Defense. I was thinking about when we were kids. Well, I was always more of a kid than he was, of course. He's 15 years older than me. In a way, he was more like a parent than a brother. So I was thinking about this time when we were on holiday. Our parents took us out to the island of Pole to enjoy the beach. I must have been about 5 years old. Adrian was 20. It'd be his last family vacation with us. A year later, he'd be in his meteoric rise to fame and fortune. But on this trip, he was my brother. And when I fell out of a paddleboat that our parents rented, started singing in the Baltic, he was the one who dove in to rescue me. You saved my life, Adrian. I'll love you forever for that. And I will find you. I owe you that much. Okay. Found an article that mentioned Adrian. It was printed in a financial magazine called The Finanzwesen. One of those chic print-based... Excuse me. Print-based mags that they produce for the retro crowd. There aren't any clues in here, but it's good to see someone else acknowledge his existence. Okay, I want to see something. Awesome! I can just hit buttons. SK stock suffers in post-buyout brain drain. In the afternoon, this is schwer in Gesellschaft. Yeah. Maybe 6 months later, 3 months later, most recent casualties of Lion's takeover is Alexandra, Mathis Donner, Werner Harding, Kobayashi. The herding stepped into the role to replace Dr. Adrian and Clara. So there you have it. That's what they say about Adrian a mere 2 years after his disappearance. A footnote. I like that one. That's the same. Hey, you're not using the same track. Oh. But that was the numbers. It's my sad duty to inform you that by unanimous vote of the Aufsichtsrat, your position of CAO at Dell Defense will be terminated at the end of this calendar month. Your continued misallocation of company funds to pursue personal agendas cannot and will not be tolerated any longer. The supervisory board is not unsympathetic to your mental state. The traumas that you endured during the pursuit of the Dragonfall thing must have been enormous. But your continuing obsession with the dragon, the dead dragon, I might add, has proven a negative influence on this company and an unjustified drain on company resources. The board wishes you all the best in your future endeavors. We have prepared a generous severance. If there's anything else, please do not hesitate to ask. Alright. Cool. Okay. Sweet. I was gonna get something. The deck! How much money do I have? Oh yeah, I need to get a deck. I need to get an improved deck. Malit. Hey. Yeah. Hey. What? There we go. Bam. Confirm. Now I need to sell you some stuff. Programs is what I want. Blaster, erosion, killer, medic. And degrade. There we go. Confirm. Confirm. And now I need to sell you some stuff. I really like the profile picture that I got for my character this time. Yeah. Hey. So I have the best deck now. I feel pretty good about myself. And that actually is going to be the episode, because it was a long one, and I am completely and utterly okay with that, because this is one of my favorite episodes, because we got to learn everything about everybody. So thanks for watching, everybody. Next time we'll get back to the gameplay. But until then, hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you. Adios.